She asked, "Are you married?" The single dad's reply changed everything. The coffee shop fell silent as Emma's question hung in the air. "Are you married?" she'd asked casually, not expecting how those three simple words would unravel a story that would change both their lives forever. If you've ever believed that timing is everything in life, this story might just confirm what your heart already knows. Before we dive deeper into this journey that touched thousands of hearts, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us of the extraordinary connections waiting in ordinary moments. Emma Matthews rushed through the doors of Riverside Elementary School, 15 minutes late for her first day as the new art teacher. Her portfolio case banged awkwardly against her hip as she navigated the empty hallways, mentally rehearsing her apology to the principal. Moving to a new town mid-semester hadn't been her plan, but after her mother's stroke, relocating to help with her recovery became necessary. Room 112, she muttered, scanning the numbered doors. The school's layout was confusing, with hallways that seemed to circle back on themselves. Just as frustration threatened to overwhelm her, she rounded a corner and collided with a tall figure carrying a stack of construction paper. Colored sheets exploded into the air, floating down around them like oversized confetti. "I'm so sorry," Emma exclaimed, dropping to her knees to gather the scattered papers. The man she'd crashed into knelt beside her. "No harm done," he said with a warm laugh that immediately put her at ease. "First day?" Emma looked up, meeting kind brown eyes that crinkled at the corners. He was about her age, maybe mid-30s, with dark hair that curled slightly at his temples and a 5 o'clock shadow that suggested he'd been too busy for a morning shave. "Is it that obvious?" she asked, feeling her cheeks warm. "The slightly panicked expression is a giveaway," he replied, stacking the papers she handed him. "I'm Daniel Carter. I teach 4th grade. Emma Matthews, new art teacher, and very, very late." Daniel stood, offering his hand to help her up. "Principal Winters is understanding. Her office is actually back the way you came, 2nd door on the right." "Thank you," Emma said, reluctantly releasing his hand. "I should go," he finished for her with a smile. "But the teacher's lounge is on the 2nd floor if you need coffee after your meeting. The stuff they serve in the cafeteria should be classified as a biohazard." Emma laughed, feeling some of her nervousness dissipate. "I'll remember that." The first few weeks passed in a blur of lesson plans, student names to memorize, and navigating the politics of the teacher's lounge. Emma found herself looking forward to her brief encounters with Daniel in the hallways or during lunch breaks. There was something about him that felt familiar and comfortable, like a favorite sweater rediscovered at the back of a closet. On a rainy Tuesday in October, Emma was setting up for her afternoon class when Daniel appeared in her doorway, holding 2 steaming cups. "Thought you might need this," he said, offering her one of the cups. "You mentioned yesterday that you were staying late to finish the mural for the fall festival." Emma accepted the coffee gratefully. "You remembered that?" "I pay attention," he said simply, leaning against her desk. "How's it coming along?" "Slowly. I've got 30 kids contributing pieces, and coordinating it all is like herding artistic cats." Daniel laughed. "I could help if you want. I'm no Picasso, but I can follow instructions and I'm tall enough to reach the top of the mural without a ladder." "Are you sure? Don't you have your own work to finish?" "My grading can wait. Besides, my daughter has ballet until 6, so I've got time." Emma paused, the cup halfway to her lips. "You have a daughter?" Daniel nodded, his expression softening. "Lily. She's 8 going on 30. Smartest kid I know, but I might be biased." Emma smiled, trying to ignore the slight disappointment she felt. Of course he was married. A man like Daniel, kind, thoughtful, good with children, wouldn't be single. "Your wife must be proud," she said carefully. Daniel's expression shifted, a shadow passing over his features. "I'm not married. Not anymore." The bell rang before Emma could respond, and students began filing into the classroom. Daniel straightened, giving her a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'll come by after school," he said, then disappeared into the hallway. That afternoon, as they worked side by side on the mural, Daniel told Emma his story. He spoke quietly, his hands steady as he helped piece together the colorful sections of the artwork. "Lily was 3 when Sarah died," he said. "Car accident. One minute we were planning a weekend trip to the beach, and the next I was a single dad trying to figure out how to do a little girl's hair for preschool. Emma's heart ached for him. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been. Daniel nodded, his focus on carefully attaching a student's painted leaf to the mural. The first year was a blur. I was just trying to keep us both functioning. My parents helped a lot, and Sarah's sister would take Lily some weekends so I could catch up on sleep. And now we have a routine. Lily and I are a team. She helps me remember to buy groceries, and I pretend to understand the complicated social dynamics of third-grade girls. His smile returned, genuine this time. She's the best thing in my life. Emma worked quietly for a moment, absorbing his words. My dad died when I was 12, she finally said. My mom never remarried. She always said that some loves you only get once in a lifetime. Daniel looked at her, his expression thoughtful. I used to think that too, that I'd had my chance at happiness and that was it. But lately, he trailed off, then shook his head slightly. Anyway, Lily's been asking when she can come see the art room. She loves to draw. Bring her anytime, Emma said, understanding his need to change the subject. I'd love to meet her. Over the next few months, Emma found herself increasingly drawn into Daniel and Lily's world. What began as occasional help with the mural evolved into Friday movie nights at Daniel's cozy bungalow, where Lily insisted on making her world-famous popcorn. The secret was an alarming amount of butter and cinnamon sugar. Emma started joining them for Sunday morning pancakes at the local diner, where Lily would sketch elaborate designs on napkins while they waited for their food. Emma taught Lily how to make friendship bracelets and watercolor galaxies. Daniel taught Emma how to change a tire when hers went flat in the school parking lot. They fell into an easy rhythm, the three of them, filling gaps in each other's lives they hadn't realized were there. But Emma was careful to maintain boundaries. Daniel hadn't dated anyone since Sarah's death, according to the school secretary who seemed to know everyone's business. The last thing Emma wanted was to complicate their friendship or, worse, hurt Lily by misreading the situation. Winter arrived with a vengeance, bringing a snowstorm that closed school for 3 days. On the third evening, Emma's phone rang as she was curled up with a book and a cup of tea. Emma. Daniel's voice sounded strained. I hate to ask, but I'm in a bind. My mom slipped on the ice and broke her ankle. I need to drive her to the hospital, but Lily. Say no more, Emma said, already reaching for her boots. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When she arrived, Lily was in her pajamas, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. Daniel looked relieved but anxious, his coat already on. Thank you, he said, pulling Emma into a quick hug. There's mac and cheese in the fridge, and Lily knows where everything is. I shouldn't be too long. Take your time, Emma assured him. We'll be fine. After Daniel left, Emma and Lily built a blanket fort in the living room and ate mac and cheese while watching Lily's favorite cartoon. As the evening wore on, Lily grew quieter, her eyes drooping. Should we get you to bed? Emma asked gently. Lily shook her head, clutching her rabbit tighter. I want to wait for Daddy. Emma nodded, understanding. How about we read a story while we wait? Lily disappeared into her room, returning with a well-worn picture book. As Emma read, Lily snuggled against her side, her small body warm and trusting. By the time Emma finished the story, Lily was fast asleep. Carefully, Emma carried her to bed, tucking the covers around her. She stood in the doorway for a moment, watching the gentle rise and fall of Lily's chest, feeling a surge of protectiveness that caught her by surprise. It was nearly midnight when Daniel returned, looking exhausted but relieved. Mom's going to be okay, he said, sinking onto the couch beside Emma. They're keeping her overnight, but the surgery went well. I'm glad, Emma said. Lily's asleep. We had a good evening. Daniel nodded, his eyes on the blanket fort they'd built. She loves when you're here. We both do. The quiet admission hung between them, weighted with unspoken meaning. Daniel, Emma began carefully, I care about both of you so much. But I don't want to complicate things or confuse Lily. Is that what you think you're doing? He asked, turning to face her. Complicating things. Or not. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. After Sarah died, I thought that part of my life was over. I focused on being a dad, on making sure Lily had everything she needed. I didn't think about what I might need. He reached for Emma's hand, his touch gentle. But then you crashed into me. Literally. And suddenly I was thinking about things I hadn't allowed myself to consider in years. Like how it feels to look forward to seeing someone. To want to share stories about my day. To to wonder what it might be like to kiss them. Emma's heart raced. And Lily? Lily asked me last week if you could be her second mom someday, Daniel said with a soft laugh. Kids don't overthink these things. They just know what feels right. And what feels right to you? Emma asked, barely breathing. Daniel's answer was to lean forward, closing the distance between them. His kiss was tentative at first, a question rather than a demand. Emma responded, her hand finding its way to his cheek, feeling the slight roughness of his evening stubble. When they pulled apart, Daniel's eyes were bright with emotion. That, he said simply, that feels right. Spring arrived, melting away the snow and bringing with it a sense of renewal. Emma, Daniel, and Lily settled into a new normal, one where Emma's apartment gradually emptied as more of her belongings found their way to Daniel's home. They took things slowly, mindful of Lily's adjustment, but the little girl seemed to blossom with Emma's increased presence in their lives. On a warm Saturday in May, they took Lily to the park for a picnic. As she ran ahead to the playground, Daniel took Emma's hand, stopping her beneath a flowering cherry tree. I have something to ask you, he said, suddenly serious. Emma's heart skipped. Okay. Daniel took a deep breath. When Sarah died, I thought I'd never find happiness again. I was wrong. You've brought joy back into our lives in ways I couldn't have imagined. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. I'm not asking you to replace Sarah. No one could. But I am asking if you'd consider building a new life with us, with me and Lily. Emma's vision blurred with tears as Daniel opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring. Daniel, I love you, Emma. And I know this might seem fast, but when you know, you know. And I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Before Emma could respond, a small voice interrupted them. Did you ask her yet, Daddy? They turned to find Lily watching them, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Daniel laughed. I was in the middle of it, sweetheart. Well, hurry up, Lily urged. I want to know if she said yes. Emma knelt down to Lily's level, her heart full. Your dad just asked me a very important question, but I think I need to ask you one too. How would you feel if I became a permanent part of your family? Lily's face lit up. I already told Daddy I want you to be my second mom. I even made you this. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket and handed it to Emma. It was a drawing of the three of them, holding hands under a rainbow. Above them, in careful childish printing, were the words, my family. Emma looked up at Daniel, who was watching them with love in his eyes. In that case, she said, rising to her feet, my answer is yes. To both of you. Daniel slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled both Emma and Lily into a tight embrace. As they stood there, the three of them together under the cherry blossoms, Emma thought about how a simple question in a school hallway had led to this moment. This perfect, unexpected happiness. The wedding was small and intimate, held in the school garden that Emma and her students had transformed with murals and mosaic stepping stones. Lily served as both flower girl and best daughter, proudly walking down the aisle ahead of Emma, who had chosen to be escorted by her recovering mother. Principal Winters, who had watched their relationship unfold with knowing smiles, officiated the ceremony. The entire school staff attended, along with the families of many students who had grown fond of the art teacher and fourth-grade teacher whose romance had become something of a school legend. During the vows, Daniel spoke of second chances and the courage to open one's heart again. Emma spoke of found family and the beauty of unexpected journeys. And Lily, in an unplanned moment that left not a dry eye in the garden, stepped forward during the ring exchange to present Emma with a handmade bracelet. This is so we're connected forever, she explained seriously, even when we're not holding hands. At the reception, Daniel pulled Emma onto the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. As they swayed to the music, he leaned close to her ear. Do you remember the first thing you ever asked me? He murmured. Emma thought back to their collision in the hallway. I think I apologized for crashing into you. Daniel shook his head, smiling. Later, in your classroom, you asked if I was married, and you said you weren't. Not anymore. And now I am, he said softly. To the most amazing woman who ever knocked me over with a portfolio case. Emma laughed, resting her head on his shoulder. Who would have thought that one simple question could change everything? I think, Daniel said, pulling back to look into her eyes, that it wasn't the question that changed things. It was being brave enough to keep asking questions, to keep moving forward even when it was scary. Lily joined them then, wiggling between them and demanding her own dance. As Daniel lifted his daughter into his arms, Emma watched them with a heart so full it felt like it might overflow. This was her family now, not the one she had imagined for herself, but somehow even better because it had been found rather than planned. 5 years later, Emma sat on the porch swing of their home, watching Daniel chase their 3-year-old son around the yard while Lily, now a confident 13-year-old, practiced soccer drills nearby. Her sketchbook lay open on her lap, filled with drawings of their life together, the ordinary moments that, strung together, created something extraordinary. Daniel caught her watching and blew her a kiss, his smile still able to make her heart skip after all this time. Their son, Max, named after Emma's father, toddled toward her with a dandelion clutched in his chubby fist. "For you, Mama," he declared, presenting the slightly crushed flower. "Thank you, sweetheart," Emma said, accepting the gift with appropriate solemnity. "It's beautiful." As Max ran back to his father, Lily dropped her soccer ball and came to sit beside Emma on the swing. "I found this today," she said, pulling a folded paper from her pocket. "When I was looking for my old art supplies." Emma unfolded it carefully. It was the drawing Lily had made years ago, the 3 of them under a rainbow. The colors had faded slightly, but the words, "my family," were still clear. "I remember this day," Emma said softly. "It was one of the happiest of my life." Lily leaned against her shoulder. "Mine too. Even though I was only 8, I knew you belonged with us." "How did you know?" Emma asked, genuinely curious. Lily considered this, her expression thoughtful beyond her years. "Because Dad smiled differently when you were around. And because you looked at me like I mattered, not just like I was Dad's kid you had to be nice to."